Good morning, Atheist Talkers. It is your irreverent Rob with your Sunday school Atheist Brunch, Atheist Sunday School, Atheist Church, whatever you want to call it. We're here for you every Sunday at 10:30. You are number one, a bunch of eyes, _I. Thanks for joining, man. Saw your comments today. Happy to have you on board. Say no to the Bible. Boofagel. Rabbit 3D joined. All aboard! Everybody for the Atheist Underground Psychological Emancipation Railway Atheist Brunch. April Marie Drake, Annie R.M. Dale, Cape de Loser, Caped Loser. Is that the opposite of a Cape Crusader? It's a Cape Loser. Hack Slab is somebody I missed, went by fast. D. Mork. There's my girl, non-crazy, crazy cat lady, the Danish dumpling. That's like dumpling, delicious. She's a moderator. Don't fuck around. Shook your ass off. Code Nurse Stat. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and switch now that everybody's on board and get that train a rolling with the engineer's hat. How's that look today? Is that hairdo suiting everybody today? It's always perfect when I wake up. I love it. That's why we like to be bald. You know what I mean? Sub 666 atheist couple. 666. Nice to have a partner who's an atheist. It's tough if you don't. I was reading a Reddit from somebody who finally broke up with their Christian partner, who didn't cook or clean, I guess, because that's women's work. I don't know what the fuck that's. Why would it take you so long to break up with a Christian? That's just goofy. Brandon Guillen joined. Shiny, I know, right? Shiny. Get a little sunlight in here, and you couldn't even see. You know, that's how bald I am. Bald as a plate, they like to say, but you know, shave it once every 2 days, and it's just perfect. Twill 7964. Thanks for joining, everybody. It's the Atheist Brunch. What do I have for brunch today, you ask? Fresh fruit, peaches and pears. That's right. Fresh fruit because it's summer and it's hot as fuck, and I'm a fresh fruit kind of guy. Love my fresh fruit. Which reminds me, happy Pride Month, everybody. It's June still, and all month we like to shout out to our gay friends and our transgender friends and all the fabulous work that they've been doing. David Stilo Flores joined. David Stilo. ¿Tienes estilo, David Stilo Flores? Bienvenidos también a todos mis amigos latinos. Going to be a guest on the Baphomet 666 Burning Eden podcast. I guess they call it the Burning Eden podcast. That's exciting. If you haven't followed those guys, go ahead and give them a follow at Baphomet 666. I think I'll let you find his account. He's a Latino guy from Peru. Love it when I see Latino atheists and, of course, atheists of all kinds of colors. Except white, because there's plenty of us. Husam 727. My girl Keisha Hendricks 80. Are you that young, Keisha? Were you born in 80? Is that what it is? I always assume that's what that is. If people put a 2-digit number at the end of their name, that's when they were born. Maybe I'm wrong. Doof joined. Thanks for joining, pal. And I am on YouTube. Comments are working. That's the YouTube camera. That's the TikTok camera, and we have severely less people on YouTube than we do on TikTok, so I end up paying attention to the scroll along TikTok because it's way more active, and I don't like to miss anybody. Patty Olson Bass 2 joined. Thanks, Patty. And thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. It's a pleasure to be able to do this. I was talking about the fresh fruit. What's your favorite fruit? I find that peaches, when they're actually ripe and in season, are really, really fucking awesome. They're hard to beat. But for me, it's strawberries, also in season, and black cherries. The dark cherries that are out this time of year, I absolutely go sick on them. I just like eat them until I'm like sick to my stomach from it, and my fingers are purple. Snort Spike joined. Blessed be the fruit, indeed. Thanks for sending that peach out too, Keisha. Love that. Watson Amanda 26. Now I know she wasn't born in 1926. Maybe she's 26 years old. Thanks for joining, Amanda. Appreciate you all. There's lots to talk about if we run out of questions, but please. I shave more than you every 2 days. Yeah, I got to, because I can't stand the stubble, man. It's not. It's just when it starts getting long, if you let it go 3-4 days, then you get like a tiny little bedhead, and it kind of gets flat. That's no good. Yeah. But I was saying strawberries. There's nowhere like they make strawberries in New England. and certain other places in the East Coast in the U.S. That's where strawberries, I think, are from, and they're fucking incredible. They're like homegrown in some good loamy soil with a lot of that. With a lot of increments, my friend, they're hard to beat. So for me, strawberries, black cherries, and it's hard for me to put anything above black cherries. I absolutely love them. But the genus Prunus, being a landscaper and a horticulturist, the genus Prunus produces all of my favorite fruits: peaches, black plums. When you get a black plum that's perfect, just a day after being ripe, and they're just sweet, and the juice runs down your face. Who doesn't love that, man? So enjoy fresh fruit, like I am. And another tip: if you cut up your peaches, you don't get fiber in between your teeth, right? Whereas when you bite through the skin on peaches, I don't mind the fuzz. I know some people who can't stand the fuzz on peaches. When my teeth are, if you can't tell, they're really close together and compact. And so if I eat fibrous foods, like I end up having to floss immediately after, or I got like strings of peaches hanging. So if you cut them up, it solves that problem for you. A lot going on in the world of Christian nationalism that we can talk about today. Texas at it again. I was looking at Reddit, and Texas has the governor. They have the worst governor in the history of fucking governors. Greg Abbott now passing bills that are meant to reinforce the Christian nationalism and the Christian heritage, right? Patriotic values, Christian heritage. I'm going to Google it real quick here. That they really are involved in Texas, and it's absolutely fucking disgusting. And why is it's not coming up for me? That's all right. I'll go back to the homepage of atheism. But watch out for Texas. It talks about how Texas has been working on revising the history of the United States, because they publish most of the textbooks that we have in schools are published in Texas, and so they're able to control the information that goes into those textbooks, and they've been imbuing them with Christian nationalism for a long time now, trying to spin this country as somehow founded on laws of God, which someone TikToked me yesterday, which is stupid. It's ridiculous. Anyone who doesn't know that the founders didn't give a shit about Christian dogma hasn't done the research. Can you talk about politics today with regard to separation of church and state? Yeah. In fact, one of the things I was reading on Reddit was how atheists are not as free to talk about the things they want to talk about as religious groups are. There's your hate speech is protected because you're a Christian, or you're a Muslim, or you're some other denomination of fruitcake fucking nuts who believe hell is real, and that some of us are destined to burn in hell forever. And if that's that was being spun as hate, which is hard to argue, but if atheists come out and say anything against religion, that right away is, and it gets taken down, you get fired from work, all that kind of shit. In Texas, and my atheist daughter will be homeschooled in the fall. Good for you. Is a big problem in America. Is most of the homeschooling that goes on is because the Christian nationalists want to teach their kids creationism at school and not expose them to the liberal values and the liberal fucking thinking that they learn in actual school, which is of course a misrepresentation of what actually happens in the public school, which is rife with Christian nationalism itself. But if you're someone who actually cares about real education and you're doing it for that reason, then good for you, because they will. If you send your kid to school in Texas, they're going to go to school with Christian teachers who want to teach them that America was founded as a Christian nation based on the Ten Commandments and a bunch of bullshit that wasn't real. They're going to teach that Moses was a real character in history, which we pretty much know is not. So I didn't know you were in Texas, Keisha. I don't think I really. Moses was a founding father. Yeah, a founding father of ancient Israel, if you're to believe that he's even real. But no, Moses not real. Moses an archetype based on the old the lawgiver myth that was around a long time before Judaism. So Moses also based on earlier myths. But yeah, back to the separation of church and state. It's under assault, and that's really why we do what we do. It's why I do what I do. I've seen it live in my county, live in my town, live in America, live in the insurrection on the Capitol, live in the Trump cult that embarrasses us all. So we need to keep fighting for that. If you haven't done so, please join Freedom from Religion Foundation. It only costs $40, $50 for your whole family. And you're giving money to the organization that actually fights Christian nationalism by filing lawsuits and following up on them right to the Supreme Court if they have to, and making sure that all of us are free from religion as we can be, and making sure that religious minorities are free to practice their religion without being beaten down again by Christian nationalists who are insisting on, some kind of protection as a victim class. So like they're the persecuted ones, which is ludicrous. There's still a massive majority when you take all of them together. So for them to pretend that they're the persecuted ones is just, again, it's Christian exceptionalism trying to rear its ugly head, and they succeed largely because most politicians are afraid to lose that vote. I'm an atheistic Satanist in Texas. There is a lawsuit over the abortion law. Yeah, good. There should be. Women's health rights are essential in free society, and it's an embarrassment that America's gotten to the point where people are trying to overturn Roe versus Wade, and individual states are trying to pile on. In the end, the law of the land overrules those kind of local laws, so it's tough for them. But what they're trying to do is position themselves to overturn the national law. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it needs all of our support. So again, please give your $50 or your $40 to Freedom from Religion Foundation and help the people who fight the good fight. I got Reed Josephus. Reed Josephus. He proves Jesus. Now that I read him, I wonder if the guy had. The Josephus testimony was added, and historians mostly agree that it doesn't add up to shit. It's a non sequitur. If you read the actual larger text, it's out of context. It appears to have been crammed in by Christians later to try to fill in what's missing, which is contemporary evidence of Jesus. Where they're finding mass graves. Join again, Jenny, for short. If you haven't lately, they're still out there and they still do great work. And the lawyers are amazing. They're fucking amazing at FFRF. They're all young, are all motivated, and they're all brilliant. They do really good. Amos Luttrell, what's up? Hey Ben, Atheist Agnostic Hype House in the house. Follow those guys if you haven't. I noticed they got a new member, which is cool. They have great content, and they're always willing to give it up the ass to Christians who are stepping out of line. Big Matt, 1960. Thanks, man. Love you, buddy. You finally found Atheist TikTok. Where you been? Toyo Tasters? Toyota Stars. Toyo Tasters, I said. I love the names again. I always say it, but I love seeing people's handles. They're awesome. Sabrex. Saber X-ray. See, you gotta work on splitting up the syllables right. There's a big casino in Oklahoma because gambling is illegal. I predict a big abortion clinic in OK. There is a big casino in Oklahoma because gambling is. I'm not sure what that means. The Native American man. I hope they get one in every town. I predict a big abortion clinic. Yeah. Okay. Saber. It's good. It's a beautiful Sunday. I got some fresh fruit. Atheist Type House asks, how's my Sunday going? Got me some pears and some peaches right here. Perfectly ripe. If your fruit's not ripe when you bring it home like that, put it in a paper bag in a sunny window. And in a couple of days, your peaches will ripen up. You don't got to eat them hard. I think a lot of people don't like some of that fruit because they never get it really ripe. So that's your clue right now from your buddy. This time of year doesn't take long, only a day or two. But if you get in a little bit of the off season, especially pears, they'll ripen up good if you put them in a paper bag, a shopping bag, or a sack, as we say in some parts of the country. I know if you're from Arizona, you say sack when you mean bag. So do that, put them in the window. and they'll ripen up for you. And then you get you get a peach that's absolutely ripe. It's hard to beat, man. It's hard to beat. Shout out to everybody who's joining. I'm missing them. B Soup 666. Love people who put 666 in there. Title Dan Clemenson. Thanks for joining. I trolled my first live Christian TikTok Friday, and it was fun. Did you, Keisha? What did you like? Were you an active troll? Did you put stuff on the comment thread and get kicked off like we do to our trolls? It might be fun to listen. I'm not one of those guys who likes to go to. That just upsets me. I think to watch the Christian live TikToks. I think it bums me out, but I know that some people do. I think why the atheist troll, everybody the atheist troll calls himself the atheist troll, because he actually like enjoys going on and like jabbing those people in the sides, like sticking them with a little dagger. But it's not my thing. I'm too busy as it is. Maybe once in a while I would check in, but when I see those people who like post Christian TikToks, it upsets me that there's boneheads like that in the world, and it's so many people love them. So many people. Have you seen that guy with the kind of like blonde curls in the front and his like teeth stick out a little bit, and he's always looks stoned, his eyes are red? Can't remember his name, and I don't really give a fuck, but he's on there talking shit all the time about how the sunset. He was talking about the sunset and how every sunset is from God. You know, sunsets are created by pollution, right? Back in the day when the air was perfectly clean, we didn't really have sunsets the way we do that. All that color is from refraction through particles in the air made by humans. Yeah, you're right. Jeff is awesome with that, man. I admire him because I don't have the wherewithal to do it. You only did it because people were giving the pastor money. That a girl. I don't mind if it's your thing. Believe me, I'm not getting down on you if you want to troll the Christian pages. Greetings again from Norway. Keep up the good stuff, buddy. Thank you, Lovis. S. Lovis. I say it like it was German. It's the only way I know. It's Loevis. Is that your last name, or is it Slovis? He does always look like he just had a big bong. You know what I'm talking about, right? I don't want to punch him right in his big fucking teeth, man. What an idiot! And people are like, if you look at the comments, it makes you know how stupid the American public is, or 50% of the American public, because they're just like, you're the wisest man I know. Tell me how to do this. And these people are older than him. These are people who should know better, but people will default to believing anybody who says things with authority, right? Most people are followers, and if a guy like that like really puts it out there, they're gonna believe it. And I can't help thinking that they're taking advantage of that. I blame Bill. Join, good to see you. Our girl. I think we're going live Friday. That was my big news. I'm very excited to do a duet with my girl from Michigan, who I'm absolutely crazy about her channel. She's one of the power atheists on TikTok, with like a zillion followers, a trillion likes, and more fanboys than I could shake a stick at. So really, really, really proud and honored that we're gonna do that together. Already somebody muted Paisley Oscar. I didn't see that. I saw our guy Sanctified join. Giving you a toot, Sanctified, because you really stick with it. I got to tell you, and you're pretty respectful. You're a goof, and you're all over every atheist TikTok, and we all know you. But I got to say, you're pretty fair compared to most trolls. So I'm going to give you a toot there, buddy, and thanks for joining. We appreciate your support. I know you don't agree, and that being a born again Christian works for you, and that's good. But I appreciate your attitude. I honestly do. It was a little annoying at first. Brandon Kent wants to go live. I'm going to decline that. We're not doing duets, and it's no shade on you, buddy. Maybe if we get to know each other, we can do a duet, or dual live, or whatever the hell they call it at some point. But I'm going to stick to my formula on Sunday because I don't want to get trapped by a troll who all of a sudden wants to debate. So Ash King says amen. Not sure what you're saying amen to, but Lilith is still right. 666. Morning Lilith is still right. Lilith is still right, man. And the fact that Lilith was hammered out of Judeo-Christian mythology is a source of enduring shame for me, because it really was the beginning of the patriarchy that we've had foisted on us through Western religion down through the ages, in an attempt to mute the divine feminine, which is sorely missing from Abrahamic faiths. Karma Matata's on board. Thanks for the roses, baby. Love you so much. Good morning, reprobate heathen 69. Reprobate heathen. I can't even get it out of my mouth. Awesome. The reprobate heathen is Richard Lee Frazier. Thanks for the follow, buddy. Yeet says, go by God bids. I missed it. I'm radio TV host and minister. Are you, Richard Frazier? Well, thanks for joining an atheist live show, man. We appreciate the good Christians that are out there, I have to say. And, if you're respectful and you're not here to try to preach to us, then you're welcome to join. Anytime you want, we can do a duo live in the future if you want. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, let's do that sometimes. Is that you, Ben? Yeah, we can set that up. Absolutely. I use all caps because it's easier to see. I'm not yelling. I swear I'm not yelling. Does anyone else read it like that? What's up? I write something in all caps. Are you reading it like this in your head? I do. I made the dog bark with that. Look, it's just me. Or maybe someone's trying to get in. Agreed, says Sanctified with his all caps. Yeah, no, hit me up on the DM and we can set that up. I did enjoy that. I did one ever, and it looks like Rachel and I will be doing one on Friday if we if she's in agreement. And that's just, it's so exciting to me. I can't even like giddy thinking about it. Just user, a lot of numbers joined. iDropkick followed the host. Thank you, iDropkick. Appreciate you. JT Matey. Oi, Matey. He joined. Gilly Smudge joined. Thank you, everybody. I love to give a whistle out to everybody who joins. I think it's important for you to be acknowledged. And that, and I mean to say, if I miss you, it's just because I didn't see you. You can see I'm old. I'm looking through my bifocals to read the comments. And we are on YouTube. And there's no comment there yet. I know my gal is watching YouTube too, and I appreciate her for that. If comments there, remind me and I'll look over there. Love you all for joining. If you got lots of user numbers, but come up with a username, bud, so we can like shout it out. There's a bunch of letters. A bunch of letters joined. Big Don OV joined. Boss Esty joined. Fourth 9413 some letters joined. I really appreciate you expanding into the arts, says Sanctified. Thanks, man. What do you mean by that? I'm not sure what arts. Terrible Tigga joined. Tigga. Who doesn't love Winnie the Pooh, man? One of my favorite books when I was a kid. I love the Winnie the Pooh series. I love the way he puts his whole paw in the honey. That's just a finger. He like sticks his whole paw in the honey, and he's like, looks so good. Doesn't that look good? Oh, acting. Yeah, the acting things. You like that? Sanctified appreciates the limericks. You see that? Now there's a guy with an attitude. He's got a decent attitude. If you can appreciate my dirty limericks about different myths, because I think they're fun. They crack me up. And Invisible Bunny asks, how often do you put out your podcast? Not often enough, man. It's just I have so little time. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that I set up a really complicated formula for myself. If I just talked like this and recorded it and threw a soundtrack on it, I could probably get them out every 2 weeks. But with COVID and everything else, I would get them out every month pretty good for a while. And it went off the rails. All puns. COVID hit and people couldn't come over to the studio, and I had less input and output. I'm coming, and I did interview an astronomer about the Big Bang. It took me a while to find an astronomer or a cosmologist who wanted to talk to me about the Big Bang. I found one and interviewed her. It was so cute. First of all, she's a woman in science, which we all know that we need more of. It was great. It was great to talk to her. It was great to see how geek she was. Hello, Racket23. Mr. Red Panda. I love red pandas. My dog kind of looked like a red panda when she was a puppy with the compact face. But anyway, yeah, women in science. She got so excited. We were on Skype, so I could see her. Obviously, it's only audio on the podcast. User a lot of numbers joined. Another lot of numbers. And she like would hold her. She's like, oh, and then I can't believe you brought that up. And she was so excited to talk about what she knew about the Big Bang and the origins of the universe. And the way that you answer the monkeys who think that something can't come from nothing and use that as an argument of God. Yeah, wrong. And I can't wait to get that one out. So the podcast, it comes out when I can get them done, and it might be another couple of weeks. I'm really going to try. Now that I got that, it'll be the big piece of the next podcast, and I'll get that out as soon as I can, and I'm going to keep going with the podcast, and I may change it up based on the success of this effort, so that they can come out faster. The Bang is a lie. Yeah, no, it's not. And if you really believe that, Bad B 1984, then you're a sub-intellectual. I'm looking at the question, where are you from? The only Q&A. If you use the question in the dialogue bubble, the question mark at the bottom of the page, it'll save your question so that I don't miss it when it goes by. And I'll get around to answering it that way. There's a limited number of characters, though, so try to be succinct with that, and that way I don't miss it, because I like to answer. I like to be able to try to answer everybody's questions if I can. I'm on my own this week. Producer Jay not here, which is okay, because I'm able to see all this go by. I'm able to give people a toot out a little bit faster, and acknowledge everybody who gets on board and helps the train roll as we ride the rails of reason together through Atheist Town here in the county of Infidelphia, state of apostasy in these United States of Agnostica. That's right. Nothing in science can be proven. Okay. Shout out for that troll. Yeah, not sure what any of that means. But the thing about science is, when new evidence comes, science adjusts. You know, when new evidence comes, religion doubles down on its complete lack of evidence. So yeah, you can believe whatever you want. Science is not a religion. Science is a methodology for discovering and explaining the way things work. So yeah, what is your point of view on nature religions? You know, nature religions at least make more sense than than the Abrahamic faiths that are based on a dying and rising sun god, basically. And these are religions that arose from other myths that were older, that were based on ideas more than simply based on observations of nature. So I can get my head way more easily around pagan style religions that at least are based on nature. As far as the supernatural, no, I can't go there with any of it, but I get it, and I think it's a lot more interesting, a lot more loving, a lot more earth friendly, a lot more grounded, really, in reality, other than these giant metaphors which somehow have been turned into truth or fact in the minds of the believers over the years. My quick atheist beliefs: a positive force and negative force in universe, with humans attempting to howly turn Carolinian. Got to give you a toot out for that. I'm not sure what howly is. I mean, like white guy from in the Hawaiian religion, or am I missing something there? It seems to be a part of a sentence, so maybe you want to expand on that. Saber X-ray. I don't know what if you're just trolling for just to be a goof, then maybe the moderators want to deal with you, but I'll let them sort out what you're actually trying to say. But to call science a religion is stupidity. Religion involves a higher power, a deity, a god, that's someone that's a liturgy of worship has been established, and a set of dogma applied to. That's what religion is. Science is the opposite of religion. It's evidence-based methodology, and religion is faith-based fantasy. So the two are in polar opposites of each other. Yeah, maybe they are playing. I don't know. Mac Daddy Mathea joined. Thanks for joining. Comprehending by forces by personifying it. Okay, I see what you're saying. That was the end of his take on atheism. Could be. That was a little complicated, and I'm sorry I can't quite keep up with the train of thought. That didn't come close enough in order. Yeah, religion involves worship without question. Science is the opposite of that. Thank you. A slack attack. And people are maybe you can do something religiously in the sense of you repeat it over and over. Like, I smoked pot religiously for a long time. That doesn't make pot smoking a religion. It means that I did it in a successive manner habitually, like people go to church. So that's what doing something religiously means. So I think there are scientists who involve themselves in science religiously, and that is the driving force behind their lives, and you can use it in that sense. But to call science a religion is to call baldness a hairstyle or a hair color. It's just you're just trying to be a goof. So thanks for joining. You're muted. If we worship science, we wouldn't have space to know it can change at any time. Yeah, I mean, it's just silly. It's not even worth talking about. Science is obviously not a religion any more than atheism is a religion, and I don't worship science. That's weird. Who does that? May the force be with you, sanctified. Is that Daniel 11:38? Does that say the force? Maybe may the force be with you? Didn't know that was a Bible verse, my friend. Maybe someone can look that up. It feels like they are dumbing people down. Well, they are. I mean, religion does dumb people down, and the government doesn't care. It wants you dumb. The way that they can stay in power, the way that they can consolidate the money, the way that they can maintain the status quo is by keeping people stupid. They don't want people more educated. They want the majority of people pliable and moldable and malleable and stupid. That involves keeping people stupid. And yes, Wise Patty, organized religion is all about control. Thanks for joining. Thady, hello from California. Hello, mate. What's up in California, dude? They're gonna recall Governor Newsom, the guy with the good hair. That's a good hair governor. And he's a guy he got elected because he was handsome and he had good hair and he's kind of tall. I have no idea if he's a piece of shit or not, but I do know that the homeless problem is big in California, and the people are upset about it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's his fault or if he's just got the backlash from angry Republicans out there. Eric 453, Eric with a CH. Does that mean you're not from America? Erich? I always like that, Eric with a CH. Another analogy says the Howley Return Carolinian. The religions and their books arose between cavemen and courtrooms to establish societal norms for humans. Yeah, I mean, religions, originally were, people trying to explain the world. Religion was proto-science, really, in the beginning, and the two simply went like that in opposite directions, like perpendicular lines, vectors that started at the same point and are going in 90-degree direction from each other and will never meet again. That's really the way I see it. And right the day after religion was proto-science, started by people trying to explain their world, it became a tool for those in charge who went, wow, wait a minute, these assholes believe this shit. We can use this, my friend. Quick, you scribe, write it down. We can use this, and the people will never get out of line again. Indeed, and fill the coffers with tithes. Yeah, says Wise Patty. Yes, of course. And it's and now most of it is, especially among the big ones, is with a hierarchy is revenue driven. You can guarantee it, and that the Catholic Church is the prime example of that. And the other ones don't necessarily have such a hierarchy, but Mormonism, I think, does. It's smaller, but all that money goes to one place. The Protestant denominations are different, and there's lots of denominations that don't make any money, and the churches are just poor, trying to get by. And Chris Bacon, bye, bitch. Go work on trains, on some trains or something, he said. Yeah, all right, Chris Bacon. Go work on your fucking brain, man. What an idiot. Good morning from California. Good morning again. What was I talking about? I forgot. Doesn't really matter. Because as you can see, I can ramble once we get going. Aeronautical joined. Terrible Tega. Yeah, thanks for laughing at me. I know. It's crazy, right? Bible verses are less accurate than your local city bus schedules. The schedules are accurate. It's the buses that try to hit the schedules that aren't accurate. Bearded skeptic, what's up, bro? Working on my micro beard again. Like I said, the girlfriend gets upset when I shave down. She likes the beard, so it's hard to keep it gone for very long. But it gets so hot, man. It gets so hot. I just wanted to take it out. Do you believe Democrats have the guts to remove religious practices in government? the man with the plan said, no, they obviously don't. They're not really any better. If the Republicans weren't so horrible, I wouldn't give a fuck of pieces of shit trying to do their things. They don't, they don't want to lose the Christian vote, which they assume to be giant, any more than the Republicans do. They're a little bit more on the side of the social justice warrior and equality, for people in general. So it's really the lesser of two evils for me. I don't think either party in America works for anybody anymore. They're just both shitty and corrupt and ludicrous. Biden's not really doing a whole lot to change a lot of the things that were part of Trump's greater policy. He just doesn't get called out on it because people are so happy that we don't have to deal with the lunatic that was Trump anymore. That they give the media gives Biden a pass when he really shouldn't get one. Kyle, you all take care. Makes me smile to know there is intelligent life on Earth. You taking off? Thanks, Wise Patty. Thanks for being here. Why is it not crystal clear that God is a human construct like a good Broadway musical? Like a bad Broadway musical, please. Mythology. Yeah, it is clear. It's clear to anybody who actually looks at it. There's no, once you accept that premise, it makes everything else fall into place. It's like, why are all religions different? Why does every society have its own idea of what God is? And why do they not agree? And why do we know that they all can't be right and that there's no evidence for any of them? Once you accept the fact that man created God in his image, then it always like, oh, okay, why is there evil in the world? Not because God gave us free will. It's because the universe doesn't give a fuck what happens to people on the planet. If the good things happen to bad people because the universe doesn't care if you're a good person. That's the end of it. And once you understand that there's no God trying to make us all good, that's why there's evil in the world, because there's not an omnibenevolent God out there. Then the whole thing, all of a sudden, the whole thing makes sense, and you don't have to jump through these, philosophical hoops of fire to justify why God lets that kind of shit happen. It's just it's too obvious. And especially in our world, that's why God is a man. It's because man created God in his image. Woman didn't create God in her image. Man created God in his image, and that's why we're stuck with a masculine God. Evan Peterman, 19, atheist here. Thanks, man. Check how you spell atheist, though, bud. Grammar Nazi on the case for you. It makes no sense if you ponder it for 30 seconds at the age of 5. It doesn't. And people at the age of 5 understand that it doesn't make sense. That's why we need to stop indoctrinating kids younger than 5, because if we teach them about world philosophy right away, and that everybody has their own idea about what God is around the world, then it can't all be right. So we know that they must all be wrong. And it becomes really difficult to indoctrinate kids because they do get it. So yeah, it's common sense to anybody as soon as you reach the age of reason. There's a reason people grow up to a point when they stop believing in Santa Claus, because it doesn't make any sense. And once you get to be 6, 7, 8, 9, you start being like, nah, that can't be right. Well, the same goes for God, except that they've had it hammered into their head, from a really early age, and the adults around them continue to believe it too. So, yeah, Aeronautical says, white man. Yeah, we all can. He did it. Sadie. Sí, hablo español hasta completamente, y yo me enseñé en la calle entre puros mexicanos, y mi español está bien aprendido, está bien hecho. Ich kann auch ein bisschen Deutsch, habe ich 4 Jahre Deutsch in meiner Schule gelernt, aber habe ich keine Leute mit Deutsch zu sprechen. Also mein Vokabel ist sehr klein, mein Freund. Je parle un peu de la français avec l'espagnol que je sais, je peux comprendre un peu de la français aussi. Anche italiano, io ho appreso, imparati un piccolo italiano. So I can understand most of the Romance languages because of the Spanish that I taught myself, and having learned German in school and done well at it, it made it easier for me to assimilate other languages, even though the Romance languages have nothing to do with the Teutonic languages. Really, once you learn one language and you learn that most other languages, especially the Indo-European group, are more similar to each other than they are to English. English construction is very different. Then you get to you're able to see, you're able to extrapolate how these other languages are put together. So learning Spanish was very easy for me. A, it's a simple language; it's very simplistically formulated, and B, I'm good at it. I'm good at pronunciation, I'm good at mimicry, and language has always stuck with me. Math, a different story, my friend. But yeah, language. I'm a language guy. I'm a language geek. Jeez, says Radian HC Radian HC Saris. Thank you. Living in Kilauea reaffirmed my faith in science. I love Hawaii. I love Hawaii. Kilauea is the active one on the southern tip of the Big Island. I want to say where the only island, the only state that's getting bigger, adding inches every year because of active volcanoes spilling lava into the sea. And I love Hawaii. If you were in Hawaii, that's why you're a haole, right? I get it. Hawaii. I would go back there and live out the rest of my days floating among the sea turtles if I could in the surf. It's absolutely fucking beautiful. And it's too bad about the silicosis that you suffer if you live on the Big Island from all the volcanic ash in the air. But Hawaii is gorgeous. Hawaii is really, it's really paradise. If you haven't been there and you get a chance to go, I recommend it. It's one of those once in a lifetime trips for people. Been lucky enough to get to Hawaii 5 times, I want to say. And I absolutely love it. The volcanoes fascinate me. And I like to mention that Pele, the volcano goddess, was able to detach her vagina and send it around on missions, which I find to be one of the coolest myths in all of mythology. Queer as fuck, join. Fucking A, man. Thanks for being with us. I plan to go the opposite way, up to Alaska. Up to Alaska, go north. The rush is on. The Matt in the Hat. He's our guy. Follow the Matt in the Hat. He's got some thoughts for you. And he's trying to get to 1,000. How close are you, buddy? You almost there? But yeah, I have an uncle in Alaska, and Alaska is the same way. It's gorgeous. If it wasn't winter 10 months out of the year, I'd probably consider living there. But Alaska for me, nice place to visit. Wouldn't want to stay there. I don't think, just because you get eaten by a grizzly bear in Alaska if you're not careful. They'll just come and fucking eat you, man. And we deserve to be eaten by grizzly bears, honestly, for the shit we've pulled on the planet. But yeah, no, I have an uncle who takes photographs and reads poetry and lives in Alaska, and I'm jealous of that. But he's talking about leaving. He's there for a while. He's the guy who moved around the country. Went from New Orleans to Alaska. How can you imagine that? It's a 200-degree temperature shift to go to that. Rainforest of Puna is depressing. Why? I'm not sure what that means. In Hawaii? Where did I grow up? I grew up in New England. I grew up in Connecticut, and love it, miss it. New England's beautiful too. You know why the Pilgrims stayed there when they landed? It's because they couldn't really go anywhere else. That's why they stayed there. They were just about dead when they got there. And if it wasn't for the Native Americans keeping them alive, they would have been dead. Yeah, polar bears too. They'll fucking eat you, boy, oh boy. Because they're hurting. The melting of the polar ice caps is really fucking with polar bears, and I feel bad about that. What a beautiful creature that we're probably going to lose if we don't change things. They need the ice flows to hunt off of. They can't swim forever, and with that, there's less opportunity for them to survive. Yeah, you like winter, don't you? Yeah, no bugs. Yeah, you know what? I think it's the baldness. When it's hot out, I turn the hose on my head, and I don't have to worry about my hairdo being screwed up. Most people don't want to go there because then it like fucks their hairdo up for the day, and they got to go reset it. But me, I'm a little guy, so I can take the heat. It does get oppressive. I'm not gonna lie. The humidity gets to be brutal, and it's been brutal here. Have you seen a drought like this? This is the driest spring in the Midwest that I can remember, and I've been out here 30 years, and it hasn't rained shit. Not April, not May, not June. Now it's just not raining. So if you don't believe in climate change, you're a fuckwit. Good evening, Alex Kai. If you don't believe in climate change, then you need to check yourself and get on the right side of that, because it's all we have. It's all we have is this earth. And of all the things that upsets me about fundamentalists, that's one of the big ones. It's denial of climate change and not caring about the world because we don't need it, because it was only meant to be here for 10,000 years to nurture us for some reason until Jesus comes back and takes all his people up. Our pond has lost feet. Yeah, yeah, no, it's ugly. I know, right? Uh, that's my girl, Adeline Bill, in Michigan. So it's the same thing here. And I was looking at Lake Michigan. I took a picture of Lake Michigan, changed my Facebook profile because it was a profound picture. You don't see it when it's absolutely, it was calm like a fucking pond in the middle of the woods. There was just no wind and it was hot and there was a fucking geese just like motoring across it because there were, you don't see geese like that using it like a little pond. You see seagulls and shit out there, but yeah, prophecy. Sorry, sanctified. It's just people fucking up the planet, and we need to quit it. Matt in the hat sends confetti. Thank you, Matt. Matt's always great with the prizes. I love it. Ooh, confetti, confetti. I love confetti. It's so exciting. So exciting. As Matt, a grain of sand joined. That's an evocative name. A grain of sand. Sounds like a soap opera title. Hey, Carmen Matata saying hi to I Blame Bill. If you don't follow I Blame Bill, you're one of the 2 people on TikTok that don't. And she does. I love her theater bent to talk about acting and acting skills, and she throws herself into the Sunday school stuff and plays characters and I just love it. If she was the school teacher and if she was my school teacher when I was a kid, I'd have had a problem paying attention to the curriculum in that class. I can tell you that. What a doll. Yeah, it's dry here too, says Matt. No rain in sometime here in Buffalo. Buffalo. You think it's rained once since March? Yeah, it rained last night like 5 drops. It literally was like here. Yeah, it's like somebody teasing us with like it was God flicking his fingers with water on. I'm going, here, you fuckers, I hate you all. Here's just a tiny teaser. It literally like evaporated before it hit the ground. It was so stupid. Joey Fisher 249. Thanks for joining, Joey Fisher. The rainy season in Hawaii is much drier than just 5 years ago. Are you still in Hawaii, Howley? Howley returned Carolinian? And what does that mean? It made me think they returned to Carolina from Hawaii, which is definitely a downstep. There's my favorite atheist mama bear, Atheist Sanctuary. If you haven't followed them, join them on TikTok. They have a great channel, and they have a fabulous story of coming out of Jehovah's Witnesses and acknowledging their pansexuality and atheism all at once in like the space of a fucking year, man. Imagine having the fortitude, the mental fortitude to do that. So love you so much. The ball beautiful one. So if you haven't followed them, follow Atheist Sanctuary, formerly known as Atheist Mama Bear on TikTok. And hello, happy Sunday to you. Good looking. No, I have friends still there. So no, you're not in Hawaii still. That's too bad. God damn, I miss Hawaii. Backjack join. Hashtag flying spaghetti monster. Thanks, man. I'm not sure what that refers to. Love that guy though. There's another guy who really did something with his atheism. I want to say it was a grad school thesis that he needed to do, or he was fighting something in the school district or the college. He was fighting Christian nationalism, and so he wrote the tale of the flying spaghetti monster, which is basically Russell's teapot. But man, did it take off! Now it's like a pop cult. I love it. Greetings from Yorktown, Virginia. Yorktown, site of the British surrender in 1781. I want to say. Do I got my history right? Love Yorktown. Love Virginia. Virginia's a great, fucking beautiful, beautiful place. Dripping with verdant life in the summer. It does get hot, and you got some bugs. And but what a gorgeous, gorgeous state. And the history. If you love American history and you love learning about the founding fathers and the revolution and all that shit, then go to Yorktown if you haven't been there. It's absolutely fucking fabulous. Crazy cat lady has a crush. Yes, of course. And we have a crush on her. It's a mutual crush. Is there a spaghetti monster that doesn't fly like a swimming or crawling spaghetti monster? Maybe, man. With all those noodly appendages, they could certainly crawl or slither or slime its way around. But yeah. Again, what a great metaphor that guy came up with, and all the puns. Holly returned Carolinian, hashtags Pastafarian. All of that shit is brilliant in the way it was able to turn into a pop religion. absolutely turns me on, turns my creative side on. The British are good in surrendering. Recently, the EU, those traders, yeah, it's a nationalistic effort, from what I can see. They're trying to consolidate their wealth, which they perceived as being compromised, I think, by the EU. And so all that is protectionism and fascism and jingoism and nationalism, in an attempt to reconsolidate 95% of the world's wealth, which they used to control, because they just on in England. I don't pay that much attention to it. I know Boris is a tool to go away, and I wish that British politicians would quit sucking ass on America. Whatever goes on in America, it seems like it goes on in England. Like, a year later, it starts going the same way. And I've been watching that since Thatcher, brought Reaganism to England. It's been going on literally since I was aware. And England needs to quit that shit. It's not helping anybody. Pagan here, what gods should I point Abrahamics to? Any gods, any gods. Tell them that they don't believe in any of those gods. And what if they're wrong? When they tell you, what if you're wrong about not believing in God? You just tell them, what if you're wrong about not believing in Thor and Wodan, as Richard Dawkins likes to pronounce. We say Odin in America, but yeah, you can't point them to any gods, because they're only going to believe in their god. That's the way it's built, the way their indoctrination works. But Loki's first episode last night was pretty cool. I gotta say, those guys do a great job. Does Marvel with continuing phase 3, I guess they're in now, of the MCU, and it includes a lot of really, really TV shows that they don't just crank out. They put a lot of thought into them, and it shows. It's really cool. And everyone loves Loki. Who doesn't love Tom Hiddleston? And I don't know one girl in the world who's not in love with that dude. Yeah, Cthulhu. I looked at Cthulhu, and thanks again to the Danish Dumpling, non-crazy crazy cat lady, who forwarded me a nice little YouTube bit on Cthulhu. Cthulhu, meant to be unpronounceable by Lovecraft, and I knew that. I knew it was a Lovecraft story. I just don't read a lot of that shit. Sad story has Lovecraft. Too bad about him. But he invented the idea of Cthulhu, the octopus-headed god who is in hiding or in dormant under the ocean, that people in his stories were waiting for to come again. So if you're interested in that kind of shit, then go ahead and look at it. I refer to as being a born again atheist, such as I was. Yeah, that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that, but we're all atheists when we're born. So if you become atheist out of religion, you're a born again atheist. It makes more sense than being a born again Christian, because you've been reborn in Christ, which is just a marketing tool, as far as I can see. I think it was made up in the 60s, but it came into popularity with the Reagan years. All of a sudden, born again became a term du jour, a marketing tool to come off Christians' tongues, much like what would Jesus do was in the 90s. So yeah, born again Christianity, it makes me itchy, because it didn't used to mean anything, and it's just another one of those marketing phrases that unthinking Christians like grab onto to make themselves seem more pious. Terrible ticket. Yes, Pastafarians, where Loki was so good. What is that one sentence? Terrible ticket. I'm not sure I understand. You love Cthulhu? Good. Maybe I'll read more about Cthulhu. Again, it has every chance of being as real as any of the other myths that we were brought up on and indoctrinated into. Oh, sanctify. All mythologies and pagan religions spring from the fallen angels and their offspring. Yeah, there's no such thing as angels, buddy. But all religion is mythology, that's for sure. Lovecraft rocks. Do you like Lovecraft? There was a Lovecraft Country show on HBO, and I watched the first episode and I hated it. I don't think it has much to do with Lovecraft. It's about a kid trying to write his own novels, I think. But maybe I'll look at some Lovecraft, because people have been recommending it. And I need to read more. I need to try to make some more time for that, but I'm just so busy. How do you do it? When you're creating on TikTok and you're trying to I literally have questions in my Q&A queue that are like from April still, and I'm trying to get them out as fast as I can and do the other stuff that I got to do in my life. And it takes up all my time. So I don't have a lot of time to watch YouTube or TikTok. I don't watch any YouTube almost, unless somebody recommends something. But I just don't have time to spend scrolling and looking at other people's vids. I have been trying to more on TikTok, a lot of times, just so I can keep up with my good fans and my fellow atheists. Aren't you gratified by the community on atheist TikTok. I feel like atheist TikTok creators have a real unspoken bond, because I'm not sure a lot of us really interact with each other, but it's like we're all right there for each other, and we all have this mutual respect, and we all kind of do things a little bit differently, but it's really gratifying. It really is. So I appreciate all of you, and I have been trying to scroll down more and see I Blame Bill stuff, and see um, uh, non-crazy crazy cat lady stuff, and Bearded Skeptic has great shit. If you haven't followed Bearded Skeptic, get your ass there and do it. He gets kicked off like every fucking week because he's so offensive to religions, apparently. But I missed the point. Says Sanctified. Yeah, maybe I did. Thanks for the follow, Fady. Didn't know you weren't following before. Series have become a heavy competition to reading. Yeah, sadly, it's true. It's easier. My excuse is I came up in theater, and so I appreciate the visual arts, and I appreciate good production in drama, and cutting edge drama, especially in comedy. If there's a real different, comedy suffered so long from being derivative and being formulaic that it's hard for me to get into sitcoms anymore. But the best of the best are really, really cool, and I'll point them out if I find any. Nutritious Granny Ashes. What the hell is Nutritious Granny Ashes, man? That's an awesome handle. Your voice is so calming. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Gonna try to do more with it. Somebody was asking about the podcast, and I promise to try to get them out faster for people, and maybe revamp the way that I do them so that I can do that. And take advantage of whatever voice I have left on the old planet. If you want to read more Lovecraft, all of his work is available in audio. I hate audiobooks. I'd rather read though, dude. I can't concentrate on them. I try to listen to an audiobook and I start daydreaming. Which I do when I read, but at least I remember faster, and I get back to the page faster. So audiobooks, I don't get down on them. I'm glad that people are accessing books through audiobooks. And I should probably try to be a reader of audiobooks. I could probably do that and make a little cake that way, my friend. But I can't go there. The audiobooks, they don't hold my attention. Thank you for the shout out, non-crazy crazy cat lady, for the podcast. They're cool. I like them. I've set up a complicated formula where I try to do different bits between some comedy and some interviews and some just chat with me and my friends and some science bits, and I don't like to put them out if they've got a lot of I don't like to put them out until I think they're really as perfect as I can make them, so it makes them come out slowly. Me too. I hate when reading speech is pre-directed by audiobook. Alex Kai says, yeah, I don't think it's that necessarily, as I find myself daydreaming. I can't listen to it and stay listening to it. And I know a lot of people love them, so more power to y'all. Jim 666500 joins. Fredrickson joined. TOMB Anonymous joined. Thanks for everybody for joining. Daddy Joe's 1979. Such a fan. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you guys. You're welcome, and thank you. I couldn't do it without you all. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be able to go live and to produce videos that are so well accepted by so many people, and we hope to keep growing the channel. So thank you all for following and sharing and all the great thoughts and compliments that people give you. I love you all, and it's really, really gratifying. Nana in Virginia, what's up, Nana? Afternoon to you, Blue Heart Gal. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being there for us, like always. Tabba Kid, thanks for the point. Not sure what that means, or the point. Short for Frederick Anderson. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. You got no vowels in there, like written Hebrew. No vowels. Frederick Anderson. You're from Scandinavia, my friend. Or you have a name that is. So tell us where you're from, if you are. I love travel. I love geography. People are down on Americans because we don't know geography, and most of us don't. Got to give it to you. American exceptionalism has ruined our ability to understand the world. Sweden. We used to make fun of the Swedish accent. Remember the Swedish cook from the Muppets? Yeah, he would talk like this, and then he would do this with the meatballs, and ooh, yeah, racist, right? No, accents are funny, but I never met a Swedish person that actually talked like that. It was always like a really over the top. impression of a Swedish accent that people used to do in the day. Um, yeah, Hebrew's written without vowels. Or are you talking about Frederick Anderson? I think he's just trying to fit the whole name in the thing without making it uh, uh, really long. Yeah, I love geography. I was gonna say, Americans don't know. They couldn't point to Europe on a map, or never mind explain what Europe is or what countries might be in Europe, even if it's just a few of them. But I love it, and I'll go toe to toe with anybody from anywhere on geography, on world geography, on American geography, anything. I will go toe to toe with you, and I might lose. There's people who know more than I do, and I find out all the time. And I'm not unwilling to admit it when I'm wrong. I really am not. I try to act like I know everything, but I don't. I've always felt Islam and Christianity have committed the most harm to our world. Would you agree? Yeah, of course I would agree. And I think it's just a result of how big they are. When religion gets that huge, it's going to give rise to fundamentalist factions. And it's wrong to lump them all into the same category, because there's a lot of good Muslims out there. There really are. They're all too sensitive about Muhammad, but there are some good people out there who just are trying to raise their family, get by, and raise their kids in a moralistic way. And I don't blame any of them for the actions of ISIS and other fundamentalist factions, the Taliban, and stupid shit that goes on in the Middle East and Paris, and to a certain extent the rest of the world. But once religions get to the size of Christianity and Islam, they're going to breed factions of fundamentalists. And I think that the reason that other religions really haven't quite gotten to that point is because they're just not quite as big. So there's no way that other religions are going to be able to be more harmful than the really big ones. That's just, to me, that's just statistics, I guess, or that's just the way it is and a function of how large they are. But Christian fundamentalists are no less evil than Islamic fundamentalists in my world. Maybe they've arguably caused less physical harm and violence than Islam, but it's ugly. Christian nationalism, Christian exceptionalism, Christian privilege, Christian ignorance. It's fucking ugly. And fundamentalist Christians who think the Bible is a literal from start to finish are monkey-headed idiots and don't have any tolerance for people who can't accept part of your religion, at least, as allegory, parable, fable, written as metaphor to get a point across. If you think that it's all literal, then you're stupider than the people who wrote it. And that just leads to the kind of hate and intolerance that we see in a religion that's supposed to be loving and tolerant. Yeah, fundamentalist equals extremist. I would agree with that in a general way. You condemn nationalism, good for you. Nationalism is evil, and it's this. So far, it's the scourge of the new millennium, and we see it from Russia to Israel to America, and it's disgusting. Not good people would still be good people without religion. Of course, I mean we're all here to prove that. I don't know any atheists who are more evil than Christians. I know some that are shitty and kind of creepy people, but nobody needs God to be moral. And you have trouble pointing to a moral God. There's no morality in religion that I can see. And if you think there is, then you're just sugarcoating it. The God of the Bible is a highly immoral douchebag, who killed millions of people throughout the Old Testament, and the New Testament is clearly written to be a different spin on what is supposedly the same God. Is pretty obviously a different God, the one that you're trying to put forth in the New Testament. So morality doesn't come from religion, and you don't need religion to be a good person. The bearded warrior, the Southern Ocean. I'm missing a part of a conversation. Yahweh has shown internal inconsistency. Yeah, Yahweh with no vowels. See, this guy knows. Type of kid knows. The Hebrew had no vowels. It is okay to be anti-theist, meaning more aggressive with my views against religion. Is it okay? Of course it's okay to be anti-theist. Of course it's okay. It does more harm than good on society. It is a net negative on our society. Anti-theism is necessary. Mocking religion is necessary. Calling out illogical beliefs in a time of reason is necessary. We cannot allow the lowest common denominator to end up setting the standard and arbitering the national intelligence. It's stupid. And the more people we have that will call out religious stupidity, the better off we are going to be. And that includes reasonable religious people who understand that fundamentalism is wrong and detrimental to their own faith. Those Christians who don't do that are complicit. Can science and religion coexist? They do coexist. I mean, I don't know if, they do coexist. We live in a society that is full of religion and full of science, and there are some scientists whose faith is very important to them. None of them, and I talked about this exact subject with the astronomer, the planetary astronomer who has a PhD. And when I talked to her about the Big Bang, I brought up, where she stood on scientists being religious. And she says, yes, she knows many scientists who are religious still, and their faith is very important to them, but none of them deny any science. And none of them feel like their faith is more important than their work in deductive reasoning and empirical evidence. So they just see it as, non-overlapping magisteriums, as was it Stephen Jay Gould? Is that who came up with that idea? Where they take care of their different areas, and they understand that the limits of science are real, and so they go ahead and make room that way for religious faith. But my point is that most of those people were indoctrinated as youths as well. None of them came to religion later in life as a result of their science or the lack of answers that scientists have. Many scientists are religious, but not many are creationists, and not many are biblical literalists. So if some religious scientists, then they're likely not cutting edge cosmologists. They're likely the guy who teaches geology down at the local community college. I've yet to talk to one. Of all the scientists and psychologists I've interviewed, which are manifold, my friend. I've interviewed a lot of people in my atheist activist career, a lot of people, and I've yet to meet a scientist who's religious. When I grew up, I knew some, and I knew a guy who explained the non-overlapping magisterium thing in his own way, where he said that science explains how and religion explains why, and religion is involved in the metaphor of, God did this because he loved us, and God did this because he wanted us to survive in heaven, or whatever. And science is interested in just finding the nuts and bolts of God's creation. So the two do exist together. I don't think, in my mind, they cannot intersect ever again completely. At some point, you have to give up your search for the answer in order to believe that God is the answer to some of the things that you're looking for. So to me, if you're, once you get to a certain point where science has, hit a wall for now, and they can't answer certain things, if you go ahead and just give up the rest to God, then you're just a guy who doesn't care to look for answers further. I recommend seltzer waters instead of sugary sodas. Recently gave up Coca-Cola. A good scientist states, I think quicker than you believe. I think quicker than you believe. That can be read a couple of different ways. I love it. Like, you can't believe how quick I think, and I think quicker than you can believe things. As science explains more, religion recedes. Yeah, that's what I mean. Religion began as proto-science. It was the same thing in the day. Where did the sun go at night? Oh, Apollo drove his chariot around, or Helios drove his chariot around the other side of the horizon, and he's going to come back on the other side in the morning. It was a way to explain the unexplainable. As scientific method developed, it separated from religion, and a lot of religions throughout the years contributed to scientific discovery, and a lot of scientific advancement was made by religious people. That's what I mean. There was a time when they were closer together. But I think you're absolutely right. The more science explains, and this is Nana in Virginia, my girl, the more religion recedes. And I think that's an obvious progression. We can see it in the rise of atheism today. There's less need for a God of the gaps as those gaps disappear and we explain more. There was a time when nobody had any idea about other planets past the first few that we could see with the naked eye. They didn't know about Uranus and Neptune and Pluto until the 20th century, for Christ's sake. That's how new all of that stuff is. So, never mind other galaxies and the actual size the universe itself, and Big Bang theory, which is described as, by the scientist I talked to, uh, cosmic the cosmic microwave background, when measured, fit the model more correctly than anything that has ever been tested ever. That's how perfect that came out. So, people who deny the Big Bang have no grounds to do so. They just don't want it to be one of the things that disproves God. And of course, it doesn't. People are always going to believe in God, no matter what kind of scientific discoveries we have. They could disprove God completely, and some people would still believe. That's the way our minds are. Some of us need that, right? Sanctified. Some of us need the crutch of religion for our psyches, and that's never going to go away for some people, no matter what. Whereas if God was proven and discovered, and there was empirical data that could be tested, experimented on, falsified, all atheists would go away. We'd all believe, because that's how our minds are built. But if it went the other way and we disproved God, there would always be a cult who denies, because there's people who deny science every day. We see it all the time. Flat earthers, give me a fucking break. Any of those idiots on board? There was one, I think, last week, tried to say that the earth is like a pita bread, because we know it's hollow a little bit. And but how do you get your head around that? If you fly around the world, do you get to that point where that curve is harder, like a hairpin on a mountain road? To me, that's just being contrarian. When you're a flat earther, you're just trying to be edgy. Religion is the biggest bottleneck to the progression of humanity. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. Religion is absolutely the biggest bottleneck to the progression of humanity. And if it went away 100%, I think we would start making scientific advances on a scale hitherto unseen. Johnny Smith, 2004 joined. Do you know there are 3 additional planets in outer solar sphere: Haumea, Makemake, and Eris? Alex Kalai says. No, I didn't know that. Should we look into that? Oh, you fucking clever original. Says sanctified. Flat earthers generally confuse me. Yeah, I just think that they're people who want to be contrarian, and they want to piss people off, like the people who think the moon landing was a conspiracy. You know how much harder it would be to maintain a conspiracy, to have filmed all of that and kept it quiet over the years, than to actually build a rocket and go to the fucking moon. It's silly to think of. It's not it's not feasible that they could have done that, because it never would have lasted. Somebody would have leaked it, and there'd be evidence by now that it was a conspiracy. But I think people like that just want to be, they want to look like they're the skeptics and they're the smart ones, and they ain't fooling me. Why don't we go back? Why don't we go back to the moon? Why aren't we still going to the moon if the moon landings weren't real? Because there's nothing there. Why would you spend money going to see more of what we know? We learn what we need to learn about the moon. That's to me, that's not a question. Why don't we keep going back to the moon? Because it's fucking boring. That's why they're on to Mars now. Pope deniers, anti-vaxxers call me a sheep, but then they go to church and say that the Lord is my shepherd. Yeah, it's funny how they accept the sheep metaphor. It was always in there. It's right in the Bible, right? The flock, the good shepherd. It's okay to be a sheep, when you're on that side of it. But if you actually are interested in inoculation against a nasty, nasty disease, somehow you're a sheep. Those same people get in line to drink Starbucks just because everybody does it. Yeah, people can't keep a secret. That's an absolute fact. Thank you. No, we need the moon as a gateway. Yeah, well, maybe, and maybe when they're ready, they'll go back for that. But between the time between then and now, there's no reason to keep going back and collecting rocks. It's like asking, why don't you go back to TGI Fridays? Yeah, because there's nothing there good at TGI Fridays. You can get the chicken wings in the grocery store if you're really that interested in those. We're all sheep, fool. Yeah. Benjamin Campney followed the host. Thanks, Benjamin Campney. Appreciate the follows. That's a great thing about doing the lives, is you get exposed to a bunch of new people, and I always get a bunch of new followers on the lives. Pushing 40,000. It's not big compared to I Blame Bill, the big shots, Captain Dadpool and his cool hair and his cutlery. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And we appreciate all of you. We thank you so much for following Benjamin Campney. Love you, man. Chamberlain 1962, John. Is that a Wilt Chamberlain reference? Peyton here. What kind of happy hands? Where you're from? Frank Peterman asked that a while ago. Sorry, Frank, I missed that question. It's southeastern Wisconsin here. Beautiful state, Wisconsin, and Madison, home of the FFRF, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and the first city. It was like 6 years ago they did it, but it was the first city to pass legislation protecting atheists from discrimination, which we need. Atheists are the most hated group in the United States, the most hated minority, more hated than Muslims, more hated than gay people, more hated than anybody. So people who don't think atheists are discriminated against just don't understand the facts, and they think that we're a bunch of white guys whining and playing the victim card. But if you look at the damage done to people's psyches, and look at the comments on the threads, on the videos of mine about religion being child abuse, you understand the damage that's been done to atheists through religious trauma. And some of these people have come out of religion really damaged. And that's why we do what we do. It's part of why we do what we do. It's not funny. It's not American to discriminate against anybody because their idea is different than you, much less because they won't believe in your mythology. This is a secular nation, and we have no secular voice. We have no secular people in government. There's like one guy, and other than that, we're the most underrepresented group in Congress and the most hated minority in the country. And I can take it if I'm hated because I'm a white man in America. I can take that. I get that. We, as a group, white men have earned that fucker. But atheism, it's our right, and it's our natural born state, and it's an embarrassment that we can't even speak freely about atheism without Christians playing the victim card as an 85% majority historically in America. Dorkface 1. As far as I am concerned, the Catholic Church needs to be abolished. Yeah, I got to get on board with that one. I don't know if they need to be abolished. They need to be shut down until they can prove that they've cleaned house. How we let them get away with what they have done to little boys and little girls over the years in America with no accountability is fucking disgusting. The Pope is a false prophet, says sanctified. Yeah, sanctified. I have no reason to think sanctified is a man, but maybe they sanctified might be a man or a woman, as far as I know, but the Pope is a false prophet, like every religious person ever is a false prophet. They're all false prophets because religion and God are false. So that's a no-brainer. But back to the Catholics, yeah, I think government needs to intercede, and the government needs to protect the people, protect the populace, because Catholics won't. Catholics won't come out and clean their own house. They continue to tithe. They continue to support the world's largest sexual child sexual abuse ring. And until they do that on their own, they need to be shut down and force them to reconsider, force them to make amends, force them to pay the victims, force them to clean house and get rid of the pedophiles that are in their organization. And then maybe they can reopen after they apply again. But, abolished, I won't go that far, because, you have a right to be religious, and you're not going to abolish religious thought in people's minds. Anyway, people can still stay home and rub their fucking beads in their hands and kiss the Bible and, do whatever they do, the hocus pocus that Catholics bring to their religion. They're always going to be able to do that in their homes, and it's their right to do it. But the church itself, the organization itself, needs to be shut the fuck down until they quit doing what they're doing and make it right. So I will agree with that. Mormons need to go as well. Yeah, let's take the Mormons' money and give it to the poor. How about that? How could they argue with it? Isn't that what they're about? No, it's not what they're about. They're about packing away money and building a big business. I was hoping to see a spoof of Ratzinger. I shall resign the papacy effective noon tomorrow. Yeah, remember that guy? At least he got out, right? He just quit, right? Barely remember him. He itchy nose. Sorry. The German Pope But people were upset when he got popified to begin with. He was like, Nazi, we got a Nazi for a pope, which is wrong. To identify Germans as Nazis is just as wrong as to identify all Muslims as terrorists. That's bad. I think Germans learned their lesson largely, and are pretty decent people. And they have the best of everything, man. You go to Germany, everything's new. Their infrastructure is not falling in on themselves. But yeah, Pope Francis, he doesn't impress me because he's like he's happy with gay people and he's kind of more progressive than other popes have been. Not far enough, buddy. Get rid of the fucking child schmape ring. Get rid of it. Get rid of the largest child abuse ring in the history of the world, and then maybe we can talk. There's more Nazis in America than Germany. Yeah, that's a fucking fact. The facts just have one leave office. Yeah, no doubt. The hypocrisy of religion blows my mind. I just can't wrap my head around the logic. Yeah, that's why I call them hypocristians. The Only Lane comments. Love you, The Only Lane. Dofuku says people should have the right to believe only what they can prove. Yeah, I don't know. People are gonna have to have the right to believe whatever they want, as long as they don't indoctrinate others or try to cram it into government. That's what I have an issue with. It's this insistence that it needs to be part of the national identity, or that people are forcing it onto children and allowing clubs and events and other these rallies that they have for where people as a group brainwash teens and brainwash young people just to take advantage of people who are lost or don't have the guidance at home that they need, and they lie to them. They full on lie to them about an unprovable doctrine and dogma that promises them things that they cannot deliver on. So if you're an adult, you're going to have the right to believe. I can't get behind that. But people should be taught to believe what they can prove. That's what we need to fix, the fucking school system, so that these kind of illogical beliefs don't persist for no reason. I can't believe there are Christian women who actively vote against their own rights here. It's not just Christian women, it's poor people in general in America. People who are conservative and subscribe to Republican dogma are being duped. They all vote against their own self-interest. Those people in Kentucky and West Virginia and Tennessee that need government programs and government aid and socialism more than anybody will always actively vote against those things. And it's because they're being pandered to by people who are willing to lie to them. But again, education is the key. If we educate those people better, they won't be so easy to fool. And how they defend the hypocrisy is, I'm not a good Christian. Oh, they say that, I get it. And you're right. There's always a justification, isn't there? The Matt and the Hat. Check out the movie, The Two Popes. Why does that ring a bell? It's pretty recent, The Two Popes, right? I didn't watch it. The Young Pope was cool with the Great Jude Law. That was a cool series. Filmed in Italy and shot and directed and conceived by an Italian. It had a real European aesthetic and an abstract kind of leaning to it that we don't see a lot in Hollywood. And I really, really liked The Young Pope. I know that. The Two Popes, and I should look for that and get back to watching that. Republicans love poorly educated people, which is why they always cut school funding. Yeah, of course. Yes, the Republicans. And I knew a gal who worked for the Democratic lobby in Wisconsin. It was her job to follow around Republicans to kind of keep track of their strategy, to advise the other side. And she has horror stories to tell about how it's really, really painfully obvious that, and this is in Wisconsin, she did it on the state level in Wisconsin when Scott Walker was in office and was promoting the school vouchers, which are disgusting, a disgusting way of wasting taxpayer money to be able to get people to be able to send their kids to religious schools on the taxpayer's dime, where they are taught creationism. It's all a thinly veiled attempt to keep people stupid. They want to keep you stupid. They want to keep you in your poor person peg, so that you always play that role and you don't move up in society and you don't hence threaten the establishment. And you keep the money where they want it, in the corporations and the tax and the PACs and the all the powerful lobbying organizations that are out there on on the side of the right. And then, the Democrats aren't a whole lot better. They have their own bullshit. Like I said before, we really need a third party. We really need a new party to step up and actually represent most of Americans instead of representing the two extreme ends of either party and making it sound like you have to be one or the other to even get along. In America, it's embarrassing. Republicans don't make sense to me. Yeah, it's because you got a brain, probably, a man with a plan. Pro-life, pro-Israel equals Republican. Yeah, that's true, Sanctified. And I'm no Zionist here. Israel needs to be stopped. It's genocide against the Palestinians. It needs to end, and we need to stop funding it and let them sort their own shit out. We gave them their fucking chunk of land. And it was wrong the way that was done, like pulling a rug out from under a whole group of people. Like they don't have any fucking right to it when they have as much historical claim to Palestine as Israel did. It was a knee-jerk reaction to the Holocaust, which was horrible as well. And I'm not anti-Jewish, but the Palestinians need to be taken care of too. And now that Israel's there, let them keep the weapons they have and stop selling them more, and and see how they can fucking handle it. Kevin 18079. Thanks for joining, man. Of course, you need a social secular party. In Germany, we have 7 parties competing. Yeah, I don't know how that works. You in Germany, Alex? I. But I just, we need a party that actually represents people. Should call a new party middle party. Probably 50% is down the middle. That's what I mean. We need a centrist party again. And it used to be like that. Both parties were left and right of the center. And now both parties are on the extreme left and right of their particular political wing. And it's stupid. They don't actually represent anybody. It's Alex Ka Al. A-L. It's got a dot. Alex Ka I. Oh, I got you. Alex Ka I. Okay, man. And yeah, you're in Germany. Centrist equals ignorant. Yeah, okay. Hey there. I asked about Norse paganism in a comment on your Satanism video. Yeah, I saw that comment, and we'll do a video on Norse paganism. I love Norse paganism. Again, it's not the supernatural elements. If you believe that those gods are real, you're just as deluded as the believers in other gods. But I think at least the philosophy based in nature, it makes more sense, and it's more interesting and more philosophically defensible in some ways, I think, than the obvious mythology of the Abrahamic faiths, which aren't even new. Again, they're all just based on older religions from Mesopotamia on down. Alabama, perhaps. What are you guys talking about? What's Polaris about? Why you keep bringing that up? Yes, he is in Germany. But that's not not a German name. I'm so interested in language that I'm trying to get my head around that name of yours. Relax and nothing followed the host. Thank you for the follow, my friend. Mike Mullen 29. Thanks for the follow, my friend. Religion worships prophets. Yeah, as much as religion. Alex Ka. Okay, I like the Python in Jungle Book. Love Kipling. Who loves Rudyard Kipling? What a great poet. Bubblegum Quartz, thanks for joining and thanks for following. Love that. Bubblegum Quartz. Imagine finding quartz and having it be bubblegum. It's crunchy at first and then it turns into chewy bubblegum. Evangelicals worship prophets. See? Yeah, well, the leaders of the evangelical church worship prophets. I think you're right. I think most evangelicals are Republicans who worship capitalism. And they think somehow that that their success in that area justifies or validates their religious beliefs. There's still a very, very active belief in American society that being godly leads to capitalistic success. When Jesus made it quite clear that it would be easier for a rich man, easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven, right? But we forget about that. Again, the whole "what would Jesus do" thing, it's gone right down the shitter, right? Nobody talks about that because they understand that they don't really want to do what Jesus would do. They want to identify with being a Christian because that's being a good patriot and a good American, giving up your worldly wealth, ministering to the poorest of us or the outcast members of society, the the prostitutes and the drug addicts, like Jesus did, and sick people. They don't want anything to do with that. They want to make their millions and still be seen as Christians. So the two are fundamentally opposed to each other, and American evangelicals just they whitewash over that part. Straight atheist, yeah. I mean, you're a straight person, or you're just a straight atheist. You don't have any agnostic in you. He just left Chicago and he's bound for New Orleans. Who's that? Cade Gaddy joined. What's up, Cade? Thanks for joining. Opal Pearl joined. Two semi-precious stones, right? Everybody loves pearls, right? Opals too. They're both opalescent things, opals and pearls. I like that name. Oh, Jesus, yeah. Yeah, he's riding the rails. He's riding the New Orleans, I think, out of Chicago, down through Kankakee to the Crescent City. A nice ride if you get a chance to take that one. Immortalized by the Arlo Guthrie song. Did Arlo write that, or did Steve Goodman write it and Arlo popularize it? Not sure. Steve Goodman. If you don't know who Steve Goodman is, get some of his music on YouTube and take a look at that. Died too early from cancer and wrote some genius songs. What is the difference between agnostic and atheist? Well, agnostics are just they haven't grown a big enough set of balls to admit they don't believe in God. They want to leave wiggle room there. Like, I don't know, you can't prove it, so I don't know. And to me, it's like, when you're at that point, you just don't want to own it, right? And agnostic is an atheist who's afraid of his mother-in-law, right? So well, I'm not going to quite go there and say I'm an atheist because I can't really prove it. So I'm going to call myself an agnostic. Because it's less offensive in American society. That's really the only difference. And of course, sometimes there are people who really don't know. Abraham Lincoln, famously an agnostic, who wrote many times about how he couldn't accept the obviously long, ridiculous statements of Christian dogma, but waffled on the existence of God, and wrote that he more than once fell to his knees because he didn't know what else to do, and so he prayed to God in a hope that would help. But famously, a true agnostic who just didn't know and wasn't sure. But if you're an atheist, it's not that God doesn't exist. It's just that you don't believe God doesn't exist, and you're willing to own the handle. I believe Bernie may be a closet case atheist. There's no question. Most Jews are. Most Jewish people who aren't steeped in orthodoxy or some kind of ultra conservative sect are atheists. I don't know any Jews who are educated who are believers in God. They, the dogma of Judaism gave up the heaven and hell thing a long time ago, and most modern Jews are secular in nature. They just enjoy being Jewish because it's a historical, cultural identity, and they enjoy celebrating Jewish holidays with their family, and they enjoy being identified as part of the tribe. It's not hard to understand, but most of them are too educated to remain deists or theists. They're just that part is gone for them. Like Mel Brooks, of course. Yeah, Mel Brooks. None of those people believe in God. It's just bunk. And most of them are highly educated folk, and so they get it. The more educated you are, the less likely you are to believe bullshit. So I don't know what else to say about that. Get yourself educated and lose the mythology. It's quite clearly a construct that we've outgrown the need for. Most of us. There'll always, like I said, there'll always be people who need to believe in something. Emotionally, it's just a crutch, and it's a self-help tool. And religion, at its best, is a self-help tool. What's this? I got some action on the YouTube. Can you believe that? Subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't yet. Go to the bio and hit it's an Instagram camera now, because you can use that button to follow us on Instagram or subscribe to us on YouTube, so we can grow the YouTube channel and do some other stuff on it. It's just good things. So you guys have Wildheart 666 tooting out to YouTube for Wildheart 666. Thanks for following there. I see my girl non crazy cat lady's taking care of you on the tube. So thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Carnal Knowledge. Ooh, there's a movie. Jack Nicholson, Art Garfunkel, in a rare movie appearance. Not much of an actor, but there's a movie for you from the 70s if you're interested in seeing a young Candace Bergen. Man, was she beautiful when she was young. I hope to see. She's beautiful now too. I don't mean to be ageist. I hope to live to see Yama, Young Atheist Men's Association. Yeah, the YMCA, not terribly Christian anymore. If you really see what goes on at the YMCA, they're not terribly Christian. And from all accounts, a decent organization as far as doing good for the community. I think they long ago left the Christian part of their their regulations or their rules or their their identity. Really, it's just part of the name. No, I think they're not very Christian. But Yama, that would be cool too. But it would be the Young Men's Atheist Association. Would be Yuma, right? I have never loved myself more than when I became an atheist. Good to know my accomplishments. Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, like I said, there's people who use religion for self-improvement, and more power to them. If you've come out of addiction and you've come out of being a horrible person who took out their anger on other people, or if Christianity and a belief in Jesus has helped you get over some really horrible problems in life, then good for you. I don't want to take that away from anyone, but you have to know that it's not real. It's you using a technique, like reading Tony Robbins books or any other self-help technique. Right, like the old Chris Farley character. I'm living in a van down by the river, and did like self-help. Whatever works for you, but you can't actually give credit to God or credit to Jesus. It's just you. You did that yourself, using these stories and these fables as a self-help tool. And I've explained this to people, and they had a hard time arguing with me. It was about Jesus mythicism, right? Christ mythicism, and the idea that Christ never existed at all whatsoever. I brought this up on the street to some people for an interview bit that we were doing on video, and I got a hold of the wrong guy, and he was like, "Well, let me tell you that Jesus Christ saved my life 15 years ago, and brought me out of alcoholism, and I'm like, what's that have to do with him existing? The fact that you used the story of Jesus to help yourself has nothing to do with the actual historical fact of his existence or not. It worked for you whether Jesus was real or not." And he couldn't even talk after that. He couldn't even say anything. I'm like, you believe he was real, you believe he existed, and maybe he did. Maybe he did exist. And if he did exist, he wasn't divine, but the fact that you used the story of his divinity to save yourself from your abject failure of a situation in your life has nothing to do with the historical truth of it. It has to do with you using that method to fix yourself. So anything that you do is actually you doing it. So to be an atheist and to be able to take credit for the great things that you have done is very liberating, very liberating. Keisha Hendricks says the fact it has to be a higher power in recovery. And I missed the first part of that. Yeah, it's too bad. We need a secular alternative to AA. And I get the whole, there's things that are out of your control, but that doesn't mean that they're in the control of a higher power. So it's too bad that AA is so attached to that little part of dogma. He started drinking after the encounter, after the placebo was destroyed. Is that what that was? The comment went by. Yeah, and he can blame it on me. I met an atheist on the street, and he made me realize Jesus wasn't real, and I had to go back to drinking, man. I would feel bad if that was true, but again, it's him. It's on him. Well, in that context, he is God. So really, it's you're having this conversation with someone else. Thanks for the roses, my Danish darling. Just came from FYP from the European religious video. A plus 100%. Thank you. And the claps. Thank you. Yeah, the European video. Mercy sakes alive. Who knew? That video blew the fuck up. It keeps on churning and approaching 1 million views. And 1 million views, that's like a 55th of the population of England if it's getting 1 million views. It absolutely went through the roof. I had no idea when I made it how popular it would be, but man, oh man, it has legs and it still keeps going. So somebody from Europe, I imagine, right? What's it? Carnage 13. Thank you, Carnage. Appreciate you. Glad that video struck a chord with so many people. When I talked about Europeans being smarter than Americans, obviously, nobody's smarter than anybody on the planet. Nobody has an innate intelligence advantage over any other person. It's racist to think that that's true. And what I meant by that, obviously, is that Americans have a higher percentage of people who are willing to be uneducated and ignore the facts around them than in Europe. And in general, people like the trolls on that page were like, "Oh, what about the Vatican? What about Ireland? Awfully religious. What about Spain? Awfully religious. What about Italy? Awfully religious. What about Poland?" Obviously, there's tons of religion in Europe. No one would argue that. But they don't wear it on their sleeve. They don't carry it around like an identity politic. They don't shove it in their neighbors' faces. A lot of them believe in God and just don't go to church. It's not a thing like it is in America. And it was a generalized answer to a generalized question about why Europeans are so much less religious than Americans. And, a lot of people came back to being like, they're not. They are. They are. And you're stupid if you don't think that they aren't. And that's not to say that, 51% or 48% of Americans are super fucking smart. And we still have the best universities in the world. And we still have, incredible technology being created here, and medicine advances in medicine, and I never meant to say that all Americans are stupid, because we're not. Anybody who lives here knows that this country is rich with multiple hundreds of millions of people. So we're all not stupid. Obviously, some of the smartest people in the world are Americans, and the sad truth is that 48% of us supported an insurrection on the Capitol, or 48% of us support the party that ended up supporting an insurrection on the Capitol that was largely based in Christian nationalism and fascist nationalism, like we haven't seen since Nazi Germany. So America exhibits a stupidity on the world stage that cannot be compared to any other modern nation, and I stand by that. Obviously, there's plenty of religious idiots in Europe, and there's plenty of geniuses in America. So anyway, thanks for the kudos on the Europe vid. It was it was a stroke of genius on my part, apparently, because it's way over 7,000 views. Love it. American Christians are kind of narcissistic. You think? Americans in general are kind of narcissistic. We've suffered from complex for a long time, and that's not necessarily the individual's fault. I think that's the way society, the way we came out of World War II as clearly the only superpower in the world, and by the luck of our circumstances as a country, there's a million reasons why America was able to become so powerful, not the least of which is we're rich in natural resources. We stole half of the country from Mexico when we had the chance to be able to have a coast-to-coast country that only has two neighbors. It's a lot easier to create stability when there's only two borders, and one of them is basically in lockstep with us politically, speaking of Canada and Mexico, only because of the instability in Mexico are they slightly less of a strong ally. So, our borders have been secure. We've got the two longest unfortified borders in the world. The border between Canada and the U.S. and Mexico and the U.S. There's no armies on the borders getting ready to defend against an attack. And we're unassailable from the great ocean distances between us and other countries. It's simply a matter of luck, the way that the founded, where it was founded, and how it is on the planet that we've been able to be so successful in that way. And the population grew, and it became a large country. So we had everything going for us in that way. But ever since that time, it's been on a downward curve. The rest of the world is catching up. There are no more world wars. And so the European states have been able to concentrate on improving their infrastructure, improving their educative systems. And I know this is a lot of people are like, yeah, education system is shit here too. Go to fucking Tennessee. All right. If you're in Germany and you think your education system sucks, not your Bildung system, then go to fucking Tennessee. And I guarantee you cannot wait to get back to Köln or München or wherever you're from and get back to your German school, because people are fucking up education in America on a incredible level. Hoka Games joined Stuttgart. Wie geht's, Stuttgart? Thanks, Alex, for that. You're from Stuttgart. I love it. Yeah. So Matt has this is more about indoctrination than education here. Yeah, we're just trying to get the people to learn to read and write on a Trumpian level, which is like 5th grade, and then shove them out into the factories, where they lose their jobs to robots, and no one cares. No one. People are actively trying to discourage people from going to college now because college breeds liberalism and atheism and all these things that are counterindicated in such a success in a capitalist society. And we need conservatism and we need liberals with fucked up education. No, that's not what's going on. Marcel Bach. Oh, thanks for the follow. Michael Raymond 5 joined. The people should have control over the education system, and we need to reestablish control over the education system. The education system is run by school boards at the local level. People involved in the school boards are the same kind of assholes who are involved in Christian nationalism, because they all get involved. They all, the people who need to be given a shit about that stuff don't, and so they don't get themselves involved there. And when I've gotten involved in the local school board, I've seen it. All you got to do is go to a meeting of the school board, and they start the meeting with a prayer, and they get on with their agenda, which in the end has nothing to do with actually educating kids. Yeah, thanks, Holly. We need to remove "In God We Trust" from the currency, and I got one. Should I show it? Here, hang on. I haven't shown this in a while. If you haven't seen this, bear with me, and I'll show you a $10 bill without "In God We Trust" on it. It's written on the back if you pull out your money. Can you see that? Is it in focus? Nowhere on this $10 bill is the words "In God We Trust." It's 1950s. And you can't really read that because it's backwards, I know, but this is the 1950s. So I should mirror my, here we go. There you go. 1950 Series C $10 bill donated by James Snyder from Indiana. I won this at the last FFRF convention, which was 2 years ago because of fucking COVID. We didn't have it last year. Here it is, a $10 bill. There's the front, just for people to see. But the bill has it on the back. I want to say, if you look at money, "In God We Trust" is on the back of American money. This $10 bill is free of it, and I'm quite proud of that. I paid $1 to get in the raffle and got my name picked and won this bad boy in the lottery at the FFRF convention, which is a lot of fun. If you don't go, try to do that. You meet a lot of cool people, and you get to know what's happening with that organization and what kind of great things they do for you. It's going to be in Boston. My old hometown. Going to have some chowder. Going to park my car and see my family, which is still in New England area. And as soon as I get back there, I start talking like this, because that's how they talk. And Boston, a great fucking town, a great town. A place like Chicago, where if you're in the summertime, it's just a great livable place. There's so much to do and such friendly people and so much history in Boston. If you go to Boston and take a walk on the Freedom Trail, as they call it, you can go to Paul Revere's house, which is still preserved as a museum, and all those other great places where the American Revolution was begun, my friends, by Sam Adams, brewer, patriot, gadfly, right? If you remember your history, Sam Adams, a famous gadfly, and my favorite founding father. But yeah, Boston, history of racism, you can't get by that. But that's where the FFRF conventions in September, maybe. You can look it up online, ffrf.org. Do you go live often? I go live. Thanks for asking. I go live every. Can't see your name. Oh, sorry, went by. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. This is Central Time. 9 p.m. on the East Coast, for those of you who can't do the math between the time zones, and 10:30 Central on Sunday morning. This is the Sunday morning Atheist Brunch that we do. And so every Sunday at 10:30, that's 11:30 on the East Coast, and every Wednesday night at 8. And Gonna do a live, I believe, Friday. Again, exciting news. I have yet to extra confirm it. She didn't chime in here. I don't know if she's still with us. I blame Bill, who doesn't go and do live duets. Has agreed to come on and do a duo live with me, so, and which I'm very excited about. She's a huge atheist TikToker who has great content, who really debunks the idea of a loving God. And a lot of videos recently about comparing God to an abusive parent, really, who, sets rules for a child and then punishes them uh, for being normal children, really, holding them to standards that the God doesn't hold for themselves, i.e., the parent doesn't hold for the parent, but the child is supposed to follow those rules. Watch her videos if you haven't, and I can't wait. That should be Friday night. If I do set up dual lives, they tend to be on Friday because that's when I would have time to do it. But yeah, you can count on me being here most weeks, Wednesday at 8 p.m. and Sunday at 10:30 p.m. or 10:30 a.m. Excuse me, for the brunch. That is Central Time Zone. Being here in the Chicago area, we're between Milwaukee and Chicago. Milwaukee, terribly religious. It really is. We've had our issues in Milwaukee. Put a an atheist billboard up several years ago, which kind of launched our or my visible atheism as the Milwaukee area's loudmouth atheist, which I purposely set out to be. Some people can't do it. Some people can't come out like I do and just be an out atheist. It harms their career. It puts them in jeopardy of being ostracized by their friends and family. So, I'm in a position where if that does happen to me, I don't care, because I think it's so important. So, I set out to be the Milwaukee area's top atheist, and I've pretty much made that come true, at least in terms of public visibility. Now, there's lots of great atheists in Milwaukee, and one of them is on TikTok, and he's got like a zillion followers. Fuck, guy's 18. Is Oliver Niehaus? Have you watched his shit? What a genius! He's 18 years old. Like, he can barely shave, and he's way smarter than I am. He's got so much knowledge, and he reads so much, and he knows so much. And he's like that age. He's a TikToker. He's got like 1 million fucking followers, and he's right in Milwaukee. So I'm going to try to reach out to him. Hopefully, maybe we can do a dual live, or actually do an event now that we're coming out of COVID. Great live broadcast. Enjoy them. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. What's your name? Oh, I missed it. The scroll goes by so fast. I'm sorry if I miss you. I'd love to shout out to everybody. I know I've missed a bunch of you, and I appreciate all of you so much. My opinion on astrology, it's a pseudoscience. It's clearly a pseudoscience. It's kind of fun to read your horoscope, and that makes sense. But yeah, it's just bunk. And so, astrology actually, astrotheology, more appropriately, is a large part of the basis for the Abrahamic myths. Jesus being the fish god represented the sun rising in Pisces. That's why the preeminence of fish symbology in Christianity. It's all about Jesus being the sun god who rises. I will be to you till the end of time. That's a mistranslation. Be with you till the end of the epic, right? And meaning when the sun started rising in, what's the next one coming? You guessed it, Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It really is. And I think it's more like 2200 when it actually is going to start rising when the sun starts rising in the constellation of Aquarius. At that point, according to ancient astrotheology, we would have been sent a new dying and rising sun god who represented the Aquarius, the zodiac sign and the constellation of Aquarius. What predated the fish god, what predated Pisces, was the ram, right? Sagittarius, the ram. I think that's right. Sagittarius, the ram, or Capricorn. I get them mixed up sometimes. And Capricorn's a chimera. But anyway, the ram is why there's so much ram symbology in the Old Testament. Moses was the god of the time because the sun was rising in that epic over 2,000 years ago in the sign of Sagittarius. The ram was what Isaac ended up being saved for, as his father Abraham was about to kill him, and ended up sacrificing a ram, the ram's horn, right? In Judaism, there's a lot of ram symbology in the Old Testament, and that's because Moses was the dying and rising god in that represented the ram sign of the zodiac, and he was upset with the Israelites for worshiping the golden calf. Why? Because Taurus was the one before that. So they were worshiping the wrong astrotheological god. The time had passed when they should be worshiping a calf, and they were to be worshiping a ram. But they pulled out a calf because they're too stupid to realize that now the sun was rising in a different sign in the sky. So the zodiac and astrology has its has, as part of its history, roots in the evolution of the Abrahamic faiths. I don't think it's really in question. When you really look into it, it's pretty obvious. And D.M. Murdoch's done a lot of writing on ancient astrotheology and how it influenced Christianity and Judaism. But astrology itself is bunk. Of course, there's nothing to it. Everybody knows that. It's listed. If you Google a list of pseudosciences, it's a really long list, and astrology is right there on it. Give it up. We predate Babylonian. No, you don't. Clydesverd, thanks for following, buddy. I'm Norwegian, and I don't think I know a single person my age who's genuinely religious. Yeah, and if you're young, then it's getting to be true in America, and that's going to be our saving grace, to use a religious metaphor. The folks that are coming up in the world in America don't give a shit about religion. They don't, and that's going to be the death of religion, because none of them want to hear the hate speech. They don't want to hear that their gay friends or their transgender friends are going to hell. It's stupidity to them. There's too much actual information on the internet for them to buy that bullshit. And so, slowly, thanks to millennials and Generation Z, religion is going to die out in America, no matter how the zealots try to keep it alive. Religion, I believe in God. Atheism, I don't believe in God. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Happy Pride Month. I've said it before, we'll say it again. Oh, I love all the hearts. Love all the different colored hearts. Thank you, Carnage13. Love you. Rachel Allen 0 joined. Thanks for joining. Gonna go for a few more minutes. It's almost 12:30. That means it's been 2 hours. I'm starting to get sweaty and a little sticky sitting here. And started to get a little scratchy in the old throat. It was not as soothing as it was when I started. Little Witch Stitcher, I love that. Little Witch Stitcher, love that handle. Love the better username, buddy. Love you too, though. Stay free, Center Road. Red roses for a blue atheist. Who remembers Bobby Vinton? Nobody. It's because I'm old. Music nerd, as I say that, music nerd joined. Thank you. Thanks for coming back, Alex Ka. Peter Harrop, 1960. Thanks for joining. You're coming in at the end, though, and look for us on Discord. All the kids are doing it. It took off more than I expected. We get all atheists, which again is a great sign that these kids found us right away. Thanks, Carnage. You taking off. I'm glad you enjoy this. Please join us on Wednesday. We love you, and then Friday, hopefully, with I Blame Bill. Hi, I am not a nerd. I'm not a nerd. You are. I love that. Away, bye. All right. See you later. Check us out on the Discord. I need help. I don't know how it runs. You got to go, Keisha. Love you, girl. We'll see you soon. Older men do it better. Thanks. Thanks for calling me older. No, I'm teasing. I am older. And you're right. Older men do it better. Always recommend that. Never mind. I'll stay off of that subject. But Claudia Hollingsworth. Is it short for Hollingsworth? Also, I feel like something is missing because I lost my kazoo and I haven't been able to toot back. Where's your kazoo, Matt? You musical genius, you. I'll toot for you. Double toot. Here, I'll give you a toot on the whistle too. Train's got to roll. Check us on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram, and check out the podcast. I promise I'll be getting another podcast out, and I will start getting them out more because I see that there's a lot of people who are interested in it, and I do appreciate that. Desert Nurse 41. So I won. Jiba, I missed something. Yes, you won. You always win. Thanks, Alex. Take it easy, buddy. P. Martin joined. The train did keep it rolling. Thanks, buddy. Rups 1218. Jiba Y48 joined. Thank you all for joining, but this is the tail end. I'm going to get off in just a minute or two. If you have any, why did you mute Jiba? Is he an idiot? What was that about? Thanks again for using your time to spread intelligence. See you around. Thank you, Dufuku. Love you. Love you so much for joining. Aries, thank you. Aries is the Ram. Thank you for finally correcting me on that. The old brain, not working so good. I've never owned a kazoo for more than a few weeks. Thankfully, they're cheap. Yeah, they are, and they're easy to lose. I know. I've had some kazoos, and they go into the tires, and they get busted, and they're, then they're gone. But you're right. Go down to the dime store and get yourself a whole handful of kazoos all at once, my friend. One for every color of the rainbow for Pride Month. Again, happy Pride Month. Bearded Skeptic, you're back, buddy. But here, hi, Wild Heart 666, Wild Eden. Wild Eden is on YouTube saying hi. Thanks for everybody who joined on YouTube. I do appreciate it. Again, please go to the Instagram marker on our bio and hit it and join us on YouTube and on Instagram. Look for the podcast on Spotify and on iTunes, and support FRF. We are on Twitter and Facebook. I don't use them a whole lot anymore because I fucking hate them both. They both just went in the shitter, didn't they? Who fucking likes Facebook anymore? What a piece of shit that turned into. But thanks everybody. It is 12:30, and I will see you again soon. Love all of you. I would climb through the camera and then make love to every one of you in a row if I could. You know that. So take it easy, everybody. Hitting it now. Thank you, YouTubers, for joining. I appreciate it. I'm going to bust it up now and go in and get me some lunch.